if you're 30 feet away, there could even be circumstances where, because of the environment, you can't move to get a better shot. And then the last one I have a concern about is audio. Even as you saw with Jane, let's say 15 feet behind me, I had to add subtitles. It's very difficult to make out what exactly is being said.
Thank you. I have no further questions. Mr. Cleveland, you would agree, wouldn't you? This is really a balancing of interests. Your interests to do what you want to do, and the interests of the PEOs to perform their responsibilities.
No.
You wouldn't agree with that?
Nope.
Nothing further.
Committee Bauer, in terms of additional witnesses,
I'm going to call Garrett Ian. It's going to be very brief, and then Mr. Meyer can examine him as he wishes.
Mr. Cleveland just move the laptop. Raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you give this afternoon is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I affirm my honesty.
Thank you. If you could be seated and state your full name and spell your last name for the record.
My name is Garrett Ian, last name E-A-N,
How old are you, sir?
24.
Your educational background?
I graduated from Concord High School. I did 2 years and got an associate's degree in criminal justice from New Hampshire Technical Institute. And I spent 2 years in Sarasota, Florida, where I received a bachelor's degree in criminology from the University of South Florida.
In what year?
2010 was my graduating year from college.
Mr. Ian, you've gone on record that you want to shut down the parking department of the city, haven't you?
I don't recall ever going on record saying that. Are you referring to something in particular?
Let me show you an article in which you're quoted. I'll just put an X next to it. I'll get you a copy, John. Take a moment to look at that, please.
I have read.
Okay. You gave an interview to a news reporter, didn't you? You have to verbalize your
Yes.
answer. And you were quoted as saying, and if you'll read along with me, quote, "This is one instance when you can physically prevent an enforcement mechanism of government from occurring. The idea that you can physically shut down an enforcement arm of the government. And we're not at that level of success yet, but it's a goal to shoot for," end quote. Those are your words, aren't they?
Yes.
I'd like to show you also a videotape. And this is you giving an interview, isn't it?
That's what it appears to be. This was after the lawsuit was filed.
Is that fair?
Well, I've asked the enforcers how they would relate it to the police and if they think it would be more productive to follow the police around. And they believe so.
But I guess I don't really understand why you're following them around. It basically what you started. But does it save people tickets by following them around?
Yes, if you are not at least ahead of the enforcer to fill the meters, then they could be writing tickets somewhere where you're filling meters and you're just effectively giving the city money. Where if you're in front of the enforcers, you're able to make it so that they can't write any tickets that day, that nobody's getting any tickets. So that's what's important about being within the proximity of the enforcers.
Okay. And maybe it's partially, and I'm trying to really be open-minded about this, because obviously somewhere along the line you have an opinion on it, but it just doesn't seem right to me that if you're being a Robin Hood and you're trying to help people, you're now, like, you're following this leader person they're just trying to do their job.
And they can still try to do it, but they just probably won't be able to use the enforcement mechanism on it. They can still patrol the streets and look for infractions. They can still write 2-hour tickets, which I guess is what some of the business owners would prefer that they do rather than meter tickets, because the two.
So this is you saying that your goal, your personal goal, is to shut down parking enforcement in the city, isn't it?
Yes, to the extent of enforcing the meter violation.
And you have said on occasions to Lynn and to Jane and to Alan that you're out there to prevent them from giving out tickets,
That is my goal, to prevent the issuance of tickets.
and you've said that to them.
I'm not sure if I've relayed that to Linda since I haven't done much talking to her, but yes, we've probably conversed about it, myself and Jane and Alan.
And so you have told that, you've at least told, let me put it this way, you acknowledge that you have said to Alan and Jane that your goal is to shut down the parking enforcement of the city, and one way to do that is to do what you've been doing, right?
Well, the parking enforcement of the city, I'm only able to stop them from writing the meter violations. I've never really made any effort to prevent the issuance of 2-hour violations. So, yeah, there's only so much enforcement that you can physically shut down by the action.
And you've told them that one of the ways to do that is to have these folks quit their job, haven't you?
I don't know if I've ever relayed that specifically.
Have you heard the testimony today?
Yes, most of it.
In fact, you've told people that you'd actually find them another job. When I say people, PEOs, that you'd find them another job, haven't you?
I've heard other defendants in this case talk about that. I don't believe I've ever offered job referral services or suggested that I could.
The black binder that you have in front of you, Exhibit 7. Page 1. You are photographing and videotaping Jane there, aren't you?
That is what is depicted.
That is
Yes.
you. You are videotaping Jane there, aren't you?
Yes, I was holding a video camera on February 6th. I may or may not have had it mounted on an X grip. I believe at about that time I had bought a new stabilizer for it, which made holding it a lot more convenient. If I didn't have that stabilizer, I was likely holding the camera by hand.
And you are within several feet of her, aren't you?
We could actually pull out the video camera I filmed it on and see how far away one would be if Jane is framed this much in the frame. I would estimate that this is at least several feet, because as you can see, most of her upper body and her head is in the frame, which means that you're at a considerable distance if you're getting most of someone in the frame.
And by several feet, you mean 3 feet, don't you?
No, this would be further away than 3 feet. 3 feet, I would estimate, would maybe get from her chest to the top of here. So that's why I'm estimating this is further away. If you like, I have the camera. We could actually frame someone up and see how far away they are.
How close were you? How close were you when you took a photograph of number 1?
I would estimate between 5 and 8 feet.
And how about with regard to photograph number 2?
It looks like maybe there's a tad bit more distance there, as we see more of the top of Jane's head. So maybe I'd estimate this one to be 6 to 12.
And how about with regard to 3? Who's doing the recording of that of Graham Colson and Jane?
Yes, in this instance,
Is that you?
yes. According to the tags here, this came from Freeman TV Raw, a video that I uploaded,
And how about
a
with
video that I
regard?
filmed. And as you can see from the way this is framed, we have most of Graham in the frame. You can see from just above his knees to almost the top of his head. And here Jane is considerably closer to the camera. I'm probably about the same distance from her in this photograph as Graham is. And I would estimate that Graham was maybe further than was stated earlier based on the framing in this photo.
Okay, so you were about 3 or 4 feet away from Jane, correct?
Yeah, I'd say it's a safe estimate.
How about photograph 4? Who's taking that photograph?
This is labeled as having come from Graham's camera, and as I am in the frame, I am being filmed. You can see I'm holding my camera at the bottom of the frame.
And were you part of Exhibit 5 or Photograph 5? Were you in the vicinity when that photograph was taken of Mr.
Based
Yes.
on the timestamps, yes, this photograph is a cap from 106 in the video, and page 5 is a cap from the same video at 139, so I couldn't have been too far away. But I wasn't taking the photo nor am I in it.
But you were there.
I was in the vicinity.
And all of these photographs, you are in the vicinity of all of these photographs, aren't you?
I
You're
can
taking-
verify that if you want me to
Take a look.
Sure.
You're either taking.
I
the-
captured, you want me to flip through and just say which ones I captured or was
Sure.
it? First image, I captured this image. I uploaded it.
Which number, by number?
Page 1, I captured it, I uploaded it.
We've already done
through
that.
5,
Page 2.
let's not
We're
do
up to
each one through 5.
We're up to 6.
Alright, page 6, this was filmed by Graham. It's the same video as the last two photos, but it's a considerable time later. I may or may not have been nearby at the time. You can probably go check the video and find out. Page 7, this is identified as having come from an edited video. The raw video is available online. I can get that information for everyone, so we're using the best evidence.
Is that
But
you,
yes,
is that
I
you
used-
photographing the fight?
No, Graham took this video and I was standing maybe at Graham's 4 o'clock, so considerably to the right of where this is being shot.
Now, there's two physical altercations that you've been a part of, or been
I've
a
witnessed
witness of.
3.
3. This one,
Yep.
one in the,
This is Nick McAllister, so the confrontation with Nick McAllister is
what are the other two?
another man named Travis Hobbs attacked myself and Graham at a later date. In that instance, Jane called the police. I think it's been spoken about earlier. And there was another incident referenced, which Jane was a partial witness to, where a man named Bradford Hutchinson came up and waved something, presumably pepper spray, in my face. It started de-escalating, and then he grabbed me or something, and I just pushed him away. He was following myself and Jane for a considerable distance, I believe maybe like 4 or 5 more minutes, before he eventually wandered off. So there were three times that I've either been either attacked or witnessed an attack involving someone like a member of the public.
And you've also had citizens come up to you and tell you to stop interfering with them, with the PEOs doing their job. That's true.
Sure, there's been a variety of people that come up to us with a variety of responses. Some people love us, some people don't like us, some people are neutral, have concerns, and just want to learn more.
And so your area of expertise in all of this is primarily videotaping, isn't it?
Well, I'd say I'm one of the more prolific videography activists in Keene. Yes, I upload a lot of, almost everything I shoot, I upload raw to the internet,
And you can,
creating an archive.
and you can do these videotaping from 30 feet back, can't you?
Well, if the
Can't you?
subject of your photography is 30 feet away, you're a considerable distance from the subject. You're not getting the
And you can do the videotaping 30 feet away, sir, can't
It
you?
is physically possible to videotape something 30 feet away.
And you can get your message across 30 feet away, can't you?
I'm not sure that I can say that I can get my message across from a certain distance, because the nature of the question frames it in such a way that I'm automatically limiting the effectiveness and my ability to get my message out initially from the starting point of just being 30 feet away. So yes, I'd say it is a considerable infringement.
I'm sorry, so
It's a considerable infringement on my ability to get any message across.
You can do it, can't you?
I can try, and I probably wouldn't be too successful at it. My voice gets very coarse if I have to yell. I don't want to yell, honestly. I don't want to try and talk to people from 30 feet away. If I can't have a normal conversation with them, I'm really not interested.
And you would agree with me, wouldn't you, that this is a balancing of your interests in terms of doing what you want to do and the PEO's interests of trying to do their job. You would agree that it's a balancing of interests, wouldn't you?
In the sense that every human interaction is a balancing of interest, yes. In every human being that we all interact with, we respect their rights and, we converse with them or whatever it is. However we interact with people is always a balancing of other people's interests. If someone's occupying a space, you can't put yourself into occupying that space. You have to respect, the bubble around people, things like that.
And you know that they have asked you to expand that bubble many, many times.
Many, many times would be an incorrect statement. I could list the specific instances in which I've been asked for space if you'd like.
Go right ahead.
Okay, I believe the first time I was ever asked to give more space or to keep distance was from parking enforcer Linda, and it was in the Gilbo parking lot, and this was in February. Myself and Kate were in the Gilbo lot, and she was walking. I was trying to, I believe, crossing the street in Gilbo north to south. I started going that way, and she turned around. And after she passed by me, she passed by at maybe a distance of 6 to 10 feet. She said, "Please keep your distance," and put her hand up. And so I stopped advancing and let her, put some distance between us before I continued on. So in that instance, I would say I totally respected that request. She's also asked me not to talk to her, and I haven't for that reason. Another instance of more space being asked. Alan referenced an incident in which we almost collided. There was only one instance I recall of us ever nearly colliding. I have never bumped into any of the parking enforcers or had any unprivileged physical contact with them, nor have I observed any of the other Robin Hooders or anybody just on the streets from what